the wrestling mat. It is Monday, and yes, indeed, we're back to our normal time, or back to our normal schedule, 1 p.m. Eastern, as we are with you every single weekday at the WrestlingMatchShow.com. It's right above Todd. That's all you need to remember. And if you missed me, thank you. Yeah, there was a scheduled week off last week, but before that, I was supposed to be here Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, and I got a little sick. I won't go into detail, really, because I don't think it's worth it, but I did have to go to the hospital. I was there for a few days. I am okay now. Everything is good now. I have recovered. Certainly a little bit of a scare, but we're good. I'm happy to be back with you. I thank to our team that picked up the slack when I wasn't able to do shows, and I was going to record a lot of stuff for last week. I was unable to do that, but I'm happy to be back with you. I feel much better, and it is good. It is good to be on this microphone talking to all of you. And of course, the week and a half I was gone, like everything happened, but guess what? I get to catch up on all of it right now. Yes, I know some of the news cycles, it pushes stuff away. I didn't talk about it, so I'm going to talk about it here with you guys today. But we're over 3,600 subscribers in not that long of a time. So I appreciate you guys for that. That number continued to rise even while I was away. I appreciate that very much. And we only got to touch this a little bit a couple of weeks ago when I was last on, but more memberships. We're going to be doing memberships here as part of the Wrestling Mat on YouTube, and I think you'll be very happy with what we can do here. Live chats, subscriber-only, membership-only chats will be coming your way. We're going to be doing streams for various shows along the way, and that will get you involved with me here, of course, at the Wrestling Mat. That's what we want to make sure that you're a part of with us here in the membership. And you'll get discounts on the soon-to-be-released merchandise. We have been working on that for a little bit. Want to make sure, you know what, the price is right for both you and for us. You know, there's a reason people don't run a lot of merch sales unless they have a big distributor. It's not necessarily cost-effective. So we want to make sure we get that right, not only for us, but also for you guys. But you'll be getting some discounts on merchandise if you subscribe, or I should say if you are part of the membership here at the Wrestling Mat. We're going to do some private Zooms, the chance to watch a specific event. That's right. If you get high enough up in the tier, a specific event you want to watch back with me, you could do that. All of us starting at $2.99, so very cost-effective there. Hopefully you take a look. We'd love to have you aboard. But, of course, as always, share this with your friends. Subscribe at thewrestlingmatchshow.com so you don't miss anything that we are posting. We did a lot. There was a new piece of content that went out last week. I did my top 5 Money in the Bank cash-ins. A lot of a good discussion, I would say, about that on both our social media, which you can follow us at WrestlingMat23 and at our YouTube page at thewrestlingmatchshow.com, which is always right above Todd. But yes, a lot to get to. 3 levels. Prices are affordable for everyone, starting at $2.99. Please go check out those memberships. A lot of different options that you can get into. A lot of different things we're going to be offering, and more will be added in the future here at thewrestlingmatchshow.com. So we'd love to have you join our membership at thewrestlingmatchshow.com here at YouTube. And also, for those of you that want to get the super chats in, because you know they moved to the front of the line and discuss whatever you're talking about right away, we're going to extend the giveaway we were doing. We started a couple weeks ago, then I wasn't here. I'm back now. We're going to extend that giveaway. Super chats from now until Friday, and Friday will be included. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So up until July 19th, those will count as well. Any super chats here on our live episodes will get you in to the giveaway for the signed. And this feels a little bit more important now. Double J, Jeff Jarrett, signed Bendy. What he has been doing over the last few weeks in AEW is some of the best work in all of professional wrestling. And if you want to have a signed figure from the Last Outlaw himself, the special enforcer of the Owen Hart Foundation final between Hangman Adam Page and the American Dragon Bryan Danielson, you can get involved in that right now. Make sure that you get a super chat in between now and Friday. And yes, a belated happy birthday to Double J Jeff Jarrett. I sent him a text yesterday to make sure he was having a good time with his family. But yes, from the belated birthday boy, maybe the performer of the month of July, Double J Jeff Jarrett, you can get into the giveaway right now. send a super chat over. Anything you want to talk about. And we have a lot to get into on today's show because I have been gone. And when I was gone, a lot of stuff went down. So thank you for being with me. Super chats bring you in. Shout out to Suk Singh. Shout out to Phil, Agent P. What up, Jacob? Everybody, thanks for being back with me. Sorry I missed you, but I'm happy to be here with you now. So, where should we start? I will tell you today, we're going to put this more on the back end of the show. We teased it a little bit. I went into my archives today and found some things. I am going to be talking about my time on both the Indies and in WWE with the WWE champion, Cody Rhodes. That is still to come on the show today, but a lot of people are bringing it up. Let's get into it. I think two things tie together in terms of news that have come out. Over the last week or so, we knew coming up, AJ Styles wrestling Marufuji and Noah. We knew that Io Sky was going to be in Marigold against Yashishita. All of that happened over the weekend. Also, Stephanie Vaquer, I'm going to get that right because I don't want to be disrespectful. Stephanie Vaquer, who I watched wrestle Mercedes Moné at Forbidden Door in a great match. And Stephanie has absolutely jumped off the page in all of her appearances, whether it be for CMLL or for New Japan or for AEW. Kind of came out of nowhere to the American audience. And they sign her. WWE gets her. And listen, you can talk about whatever you want with the politics with that, right? She has to vacate the title. She was supposed to drop the title. They do the three-way over the weekend at Fantastica Mania USA. Shout out to Willow Nightingale, who won that vacant CMLL Women's Championship. That was pretty cool. Putting her in very rare air in terms of the championships she's won and where she's won them. But Stephanie Vaquer doesn't do business on the way out. If you believe that or not, whatever. And she gets, the rumor comes out, she gets signed. Shawn Michaels, because that's how Shawn Michaels is now being used, they address it and go, can't wait to have you in NXT. They happen to be in Mexico over the weekend. She wrestles twice. She wrestles Isla Dawn 2 times. I thought it might have been the hello from the front row appearance. You get to see her cut a little promo, whatever. You think about when Hideo Itami was signed and they announced it in Japan with Hogan and Jimmy Hart. No, they put her in the ring. She was wrestling in Forbidden Door 2 weeks prior. Let's go. I mean, that's June 30th. Not even 2 weeks later, she's in the ring working for WWE. Hey, listen, I'm all for people getting paid. Good for her. I think she would have been an asset no matter if she ended up in AEW or WWE. They're clearly pointing her towards NXT. She said NXT. She said she's going to NXT. So that will be the case. And I think she has a great look. I think she can work. Paul Heyman, clearly not happy about it. Wipe Paul from the page, please. Paul, sorry, man. I didn't know you were that upset about the situation. But she's going to NXT. She is needed in NXT. Listen, you can talk. We've had this conversation on this show a lot of times. They call it the best women's division in all of wrestling. It's the deepest because they have the most people and they feature the most people, and those are good things. There's a lot of green people. I watched Money in the Bank. I watched the next night for NXT. I watched Heat Wave, all that. I watched it. There's a lot of talent. There's a lot of raw talent. And I'm not talking about the TV show. There's a lot of ability there. But there's going to be mistakes on the way. There's going to be a couple of those, wait, she's supposed to hit that move there thing. And it happens with the guys too in NXT. You're watching developmental on a national product. I saw it in the Fallon Henley Sol Ruca match last week. You can see who's got experience and who doesn't, and who knows how to handle a crowd not playing along or handle a blown spot, and that's fine. We just happen to see it. OVW back in the day with Cena and Brock Lesnar and Shelton Benjamin and Randy Orton and Batista and all those guys. I talked to Mark Henry about this. He went through there. You don't see that stuff. You see that stuff years later when it's in their hall. These guys have these unbelievable careers, or women, and you go back and, oh my goodness, I never saw this footage. Yeah, it just, they didn't have a TV deal of that level. They were in Louisville, Kentucky. They'd run those Six Flags shows. And as a result, you'd see snippets and pieces. You're seeing people learn how to do this on Tuesday nights on USA Network, on Peacock. Kelani Jordan and Sol Ruca wowed people at Heatwave. They still have some work to do, and there's nothing wrong with that. But Stephanie Vaquer joining the ranks, being way more experienced and have done it at different places, she's going to help down there. And I think there's money in her. She's got a cool look. She can work. She now has name value that she didn't have a few months ago. Her name's she wrestled Mercedes Moné. She wrestled someone that, if you're not an AEW fan and you're a WWE fan, you go, oh, I know. She wrestled Sasha Banks. Who knows what kind of discussions were being had? Tampering, if it did happen or didn't happen, it tends to happen. Who knows if it was just perfect timing? Hey, we're in Mexico. You're out of the deal. Let's go. Let's put you on. It may have worked out perfectly. It may have been in the plans all along. I don't know. It's wrestling. You can speculate. I have no inside knowledge of this. But man, did it work out nicely. And I see her coming to NXT. And I see AJ Styles and Noah against Marufuji. And I see Io against Hayashi Shita and Marigold. And you see Julia on that show. And you see Joe Hendry in NXT. And you see the remnants of the No Quarter Catch crew in TNA. And Izzy Dame in TNA. And there's still working with other companies may make up for the fact that WWE is choosing to run less and less live events. I'm a believer of getting people reps. AEW ran some of those, whatever it was, House Rules tours and a little bit of live events here, but not really, not much. They didn't do much with it. WWE used to, that the schedule was at least Saturday and Sunday. I mean, there was a time where if you worked Raw or SmackDown, it's 4 days. Sometimes you would work a house show during Raw if you were on SmackDown, or vice versa. That was a thing. They're cutting back on that. From a veteran perspective, yeah, certain people don't need to work all the time. From what's the next generation, who's next, NXT people, they need the reps. And if they're not running live events, you're not getting reps. And I'm talking about real reps. I'm not talking about PC reps in front of the coaches. I'm talking about, here we go. These people paid their money. You're going to go work in front of them right now. You're going to find out what's good and what's not good. They're cutting back. I am baffled that NXT is doing this. Even if it's those local shows, I'd love them to get out of their bubble. They announced 2 more PLEs happening on the road. It's great that they can go to Heatwave and go to Toronto and work in front of that many people. It's great. But they don't work in front of that many different crowds ever. They work in front of typically the same people on Tuesday nights. They don't run house shows. Rob just asked, why not NXT house shows? They have them. They don't run them that often. Reps in anything. And I'll keep it to wrestling because that's what but reps in anything. I did radio for 10 years on Sirius. I wasn't what I would call good at it until year 5. I could do a show, but I had to learn along the way. I worked with different people. I worked in different formats. I worked for 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours. What does that look like? How do you handle something going wrong? Oh, the board's down. Well, you gotta stretch it for another 15 minutes. Okay, cool. I'll do that. No problem. But you got to learn. You got to get thrown in that deep end. Things got to go wrong, and then you get better. You learn how to handle those situations. Whether it be live television. Uh-oh, the top rope broke. What do we do? Ooh, this spot we can't do anymore because so-and-so happened. Okay, we got to figure it out. I'm the baby face and they're booing me. What do we do now? You learn that stuff. You learn that stuff by working. You learn that stuff by working when you're not on television on a Tuesday night. You learn that stuff by working house shows. You let stuff go wrong. Yeah, these days everybody's got one of these, and no matter what you do, it gets captured. That thing with Maxine a few months ago when she got booed. Remember that? And everybody came to her defense. She was learning. Crowds can do whatever the hell they want. If they're not specifically like disrespectful, if they're not personally disrespectful, if they're going, hey, you stunk tonight, we're booing you, tough shit, you deal with it. But she's out there working house shows because she doesn't work. So she was working Naya. Everybody happened to see it because it got on the internet. But for the most part, that's not what that stuff's for. Especially for up-and-comers. Yes, people will tell you that the live event experience, the house show experience, can be a better one than television because the action continues, and there's no commercials, and there's no waiting for backstage. It's just boom, boom, boom. And the talent will tell you it can be more fun at times because you're not under the eye of a television. You're not worried about working the hard cam. You're not worried about, you got to hit certain times, but you're not necessarily worried about that stuff. And you can try stuff out, and you can figure that's what people in NXT need to do. Now, I bring that back to AJ working in Noah, Josh Briggs, and Tavian Heights are going to be in the N1, their tournament. That's great. Then that tells me, okay, NXT sees something in those guys. We're going to send them over there so they can go work a bunch. Are we going to start to see people pop up in Marigold? They're buddies with Rossi. Julia's finishing out her time there. Seems like she's done. We'll see her in NXT soon. You have a place to go send the women who need work. The stuff with NXT and TNA. I said the mid-card people need to go over there and work and get better. So what are they doing? Well, they're putting the no-quarter catch crew in there with the Rascals. That seems like the right kind of matchup. The Rascals have plenty of experience. They obviously have a connection with Wes Lee, MSK, and all that. You can go back and forth with all that stuff. Sure, it makes sense. Now, is anybody popping for Izzy Dame and Jordan Grace for the Knockouts Championship? No. I don't think so. Do I think Jordan Grace will be in a WWE ring full-time when her contract's up, which I guess you said is at the end of this year? Yes, absolutely. It's getting the next people ready. And with less live events, you don't have those opportunities. So where do you make those opportunities? In these talent exchanges. If they believe in somebody, if they want to see them get better and get more reps, maybe less live events means the pivot is to send them to different promotions. I think it's pretty cool. Matt Cardona talked about, and we're going to get into this, the John Cena retirement tour. He's like, I want that match. Is it crazy to think that match will happen? No. Think of how things are right now. There is more of an open-mindedness. WWE will always want to control how all of this works. Of course they do. As they should. They're at the top. Everybody else is below them. There's a way to do it, though. You know, one-offs here in Noah or Margold or, you know, those are fun attractions. That's what it should be. Full-on stories, full-on cross-promotional pay-per-views. That gets a little bit more political. But Joe Hendry just won an NXT main event last week. They used his popularity that has been all on him and him taking advantage of every mention he gets, whether it be during the Stanley Cup playoffs or singing his song at SmackDown or mentioned during a soccer match. He was running with it. So what do they do at the end of Ethan Page's fluke victory at the end of Heatwave? They flash Joe Hendry. And I think more people were talking about that. And then what happens? Evans gets taken out on Tuesday. It was very easy to connect the dots, and it's Joe Hendry. And he gets a huge pop. And you put him in the ring with the former NXT champion, who is your babyface, who is your NXT, the pride and joy of NXT is Trick Williams. And you put him in there, and Joe Hendry gets a big pop, and Joe Hendry gets the win. As he should. Are they setting up Joe Hendry and Ethan Page? We will see. Joe Hendry is also in that 6-way Slammiversary match at TNA for the title. Joe Hendry could be walking into 2 title matches over the next month. With someone like that, and I brought this up, when they're on the precipice and you're going, are we going to go with this guy? Does he have something? Or is this a flash in the pan? Is this Fandango? Is this Mizdow? Is there not a lot of legs to this? I don't know that answer right now. I know his theme song's 4 years old. It just hit at a big level in the last few months. You capitalize on that. WWE social media capitalizing on that because they're the best. The TV shows integrating the social media, that makes sense. Putting them on the Superstars page just kind of randomly, that gets people talking. That stuff works. When you're running less and less live events and you are trying to find other ways to get people interested, okay, well, how about these crossover events? How about if we're not running live events, well, we can still take over social media in different ways. Is this what NXT is doing right now? Less live events, and the company as a whole, less live events, but more on the road. Because live events don't always make money. And at the bottom dollar, you're talking to somebody who knows about that, that's what matters. If they are not running as many live events, but NXT's on the road once a month, which I had heard rumors of going back to maybe the end of last year, that there was talk of taking NXT on the road. Now, logistically, that seems crazy to me because you got Monday and you got all the trucks that go to Raw. Tuesday, they're set. They're set at the PC. Yeah, some people come in for that, but what they need is there. It's parked there. And obviously Friday is wherever it's going to be. And then you have your PLEs. But to do back-to-back shows of a 3-show live week, that seems crazy to me. Because that's routing, that's getting the trucks where they need to be, that's getting production where they need to be, and it's a very big ask to take Tuesday on the road after you're on the road Monday. Logistically, that is, with a show on Friday, that's the big part of this. You go live back-to-back days and then still have to be on the road and live on Friday. And that's in a non-PLE week. Man, that's tough. Maybe it's just going to start with all the PLEs being back on the road and doing them once a month. I could see that. I absolutely think they're going to gear things up a bit more for the CW switch over. That is absolutely going to be a thing. And why wouldn't it be? Just like I think that first Netflix show is going to be massive. You want to give people a reason to go, oh, I got to go find them. Oh, they're not on USA Network anymore. Oh, they're on the CW. Promote. And what's that first CW show going to look like? What's that first SmackDown on USA going to look like? What's that first Raw on Netflix going to look like? That show's going to be massive. I mean, day one's kind of integrated already, but that first NXT Raw, oh my, that's going to be a pay-per-view show. Literally. Because you're paying to watch it. I would expect WWE to turn things up significantly. I don't think they're super turned up right now for SummerSlam. So let's get into, we'll stay on WWE here. I watched the Angle on Friday. I watched everything that went down Friday, right? And we put up that short, that Instagram reel, which I think is our most viewed reel or short so far about who should be the main event of SummerSlam. And we put that up before any of the events of Money in the Bank took place. So is it Solo versus Cody, which based on the events of Friday and Solo getting the pin on Cody at Money in the Bank, certainly seems like that's our title match at SummerSlam. That's the WWE Championship match at SummerSlam. Or is it Drew and Punk? And we saw what went down at Money in the Bank there. The cash in that failed. Goodbye men's briefcase till next year. There goes that albatross to not have to worry about. Now that those two matches seem to be on the way. And yeah, they're going to draw it out a little bit because they have a few weeks to do so. What they've done with the Bloodline has been excellent. They have rehabbed that in a very big way. Jacob Fatu has been a part of that, going all in with Solo, taking Heyman out of the mix, and getting that kind of heat. Especially on Friday, where Cody comes out. He's already told by Randy, I got your back. And when this is over, I still got your back. Now, you know where that's going to go eventually, because it has to go there. But it doesn't seem like we're close to that now. So what happens? Cody comes out, tells Solo, we both want the same thing. That'll have to be made official. But yeah, I want you for the title, and you want me for the title. Let's do it. Let's do it at SummerSlam. I'd love to do it tonight. And they circle him, and then Randy comes out. And you will never do something more heelish to me. And maybe this is just reaching back into my childhood. When you put a baby face in the ropes like that, and they're stuck, and you beat them up, or you make them look at something, or you Jake the Snake them with Macho Man and get the Cobra on the whatever, you make them suffer. You make them hurt. You see you can't do, that is, I love that. You tie a baby face up in the ropes and you beat them up, or better, you beat up somebody close to them and you see the anguish on their face and they're pleading, stop it. Cody watching Randy get decimated on Friday. Why are you doing it to him? It should be me. Great. Watching Randy get wrecked, watching a guy who nearly lost his career to a back injury, who missed 1.5 years, get put through a table. And Cody has to watch it after Randy told him, I have your back, after Randy looked after him at the beginning of his career. That's how you get sympathy on a babyface. That's how you sell that match more. The jury is still out, I think, on Cody Rhodes, Solo Sikoa as a legitimate SummerSlam WWE Championship match. Not because of Cody, because of Solo, where he's at. But they're doing what they need to do to heat that match up. I will come back to the thought that that match has a main event slot because of the chance you're hearing from Roman Reigns. If Roman or Rock come back at SummerSlam, that match is the main event of SummerSlam. You can't follow that. You can't put that somewhere random on the card. You can't put it first. You can't put it in the middle. You can't put it semi-main. If Roman or Rock show up at SummerSlam, that match is the main event. So when we get to SummerSlam, and if we are waiting on Cody and Solo, if it's anywhere else on the card, I would be baffled to see Roman or Rock come back. If it's the main event, absolutely it's on the table. And that might be the reason it's the main event. No offense to Solo. Don't think he's beating Cody Rhodes. Don't think he's in that spot. Don't think the Bloodline is about the WWE Championship in the big picture. It's going to be about maybe Rock's pulling the strings with the current Bloodline. Roman's going to come back, and we're going to get back to Rock Roman at some point. Yes. And I don't have a problem with that. Paint by numbers sometimes works. There's going to be a tremendous reaction when Roman comes back, when Roman is a babyface. And if they want to drag that out for all the terrible stuff that Roman did under his reign, no pun intended, yeah, no one should be running to Roman's side, whether it's Jimmy or Jay or people accepting him in the locker room as a babyface. The fans will. The fans don't care because he's Roman, and what he did was great, and it was dominant, and fans will appreciate dominance. Roman's gonna be super over. They're gonna they have months and months of Roman versus this version of they can do all kinds of stuff with that has nothing to do with the WWE Championship. I got asked in the Reddit AMA I did about Roman as a babyface versus Cody as a babyface. And I'll say exactly what I said there. The Roman babyface run initially was forced down our throats. And people could see it a mile away. It did okay. It didn't do the business it should have because it wasn't done correctly. And he should have turned the night after he beat Taker. The promo he cut was the guy we saw hold the championship for 4 WrestleManias. That guy. We saw it. But they didn't do it. And then he got, leukemia came back, and he went away. And when he came back, I don't think people were going to boo him. I think people were happy to see him back. And he was on his way back to the Universal Championship, and he bowed out before that WrestleMania. He goes away, and he comes back, and he's the heel, and that's the run. He had to have the, I don't want to say failed, underwhelming, at least from a box office standpoint, babyface run to have the heel run he had, to have the babyface run he'll have when he comes back. It just has to happen. You just got to get that good. You got to get that dominant, and people need to miss you, and they miss him. And we've talked about that on this show. They miss Roman Reigns. That Joe, that guy is cool. Came across that way. It's why you see that male demographic all doing this in the crowd. There's people who rode with Roman the whole way. I don't care who you're throwing him. That's my guy. I am backing that guy. He beats everybody. It's not rooting for the underdog. People love dominance. Roman, there's that presence, or it gets completely overused. You can complain about how he came back. You know what, though? You watch the crowd. You watch the numbers that does on social. You look at the ratings. Roman was bringing all that stuff as a heel. As a heel. The Roman babyface run? My goodness. And to get back to the question, there was one in the chat here from John. There was one I took. Babyface Roman, babyface Cody at the same time. We are in Rock Austin territory, just in terms of reactions. I would love to know how Cody feels about that. Genuinely. How does he feel about that? Because it is a very fair question to ask. If Roman Reigns, as a babyface, as a super duper babyface, as the babyface that company always wanted him to be, will that overshadow Cody Rhodes? Who goes where come January? Who's on what show? Cody's over here. Roman's over here. If they're on the same show, it'll be very interesting. And I'm not telling you it's going to hurt Cody Rhodes, because it's not. But it will change the dynamic. Cody will still sign a ton of weight belts. Cody will still shake a lot of hands and make a lot of little kids happy and make a lot of his fans happy. That will never change. He has cultivated that fan base, and I give him credit for that. We'll talk about that coming up in a little bit. But the Roman babyface run that's coming, it has a chance to be an all-timer. It is going to make that company so much money. But he's got to, and I don't need to give Roman Reigns tips. That first run, I don't want a hint of that first run. I don't want suffering succotash. I don't want him. I like the guy we saw for the last 3 years. You respected that Roman Reigns because you had to. That's what he needs to be. And much like Jey Uso dealt with on Monday Night Raw when Cody got him over there, Roman should have to deal with the repercussions of his actions. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I'll tell you what, if you want to make sure he still has an edge, you have him acknowledge that. I can't ask for help. I know what I did to keep that title. I did everything I could to keep that championship because I know what that means. There's a way to take all of his actions and get a really good babyface promo out of it. A really good one. If I didn't do it, someone else would have. Did I make enemies along the way? Hell yeah, I did. I'm the WWE champion. That's what comes with the territory. And he can acknowledge that the fan, I still heard a lot of you were still with me. And I appreciate that. He doesn't have to be talking about not being proud of what he did. You know what? I grew up in this business. I know what it takes to stay on top of this business, and I did that. I can't have remorse about that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been champion as long as I was. If I had remorse, I'd be weak. I don't have that remorse. But I also expect people to have long memories, and I can respect that. I can respect anybody who got in our way during my reign to not want to be around me, to not want to have my back. And how could I ask him for that? I can do this on my own. That's the kind of guy he needs to be. He needs to acknowledge that he was a power-hungry, do anything at all cost champion. He needs to acknowledge that. And I think the fans will be with it because they're still chanting his name right now. But in that vein, he needs to know and acknowledge no one's going to have his back. That's the cost of business. I understand that. I knew that when I was champion. I knew when I lost that championship, things were going to change. He doesn't even have to talk about Cody. It's just about him. I went home, I reflected. I'm back now. There's things I'm back for. My bloodline I'm back for. But I know because of what I did as champion, I got to do this alone. I wasn't trying to dig a grave. I was trying to build a mountain. I built that mountain. That mountain has crumbled a little bit. And the pieces that I built that mountain with, they're not here anymore. And the bodies I stepped over, they're not going to reach out their hand to help me. And I understand that. That's the price of business. That's the price of being a champion. I know that. I understand that. I'll have to do things differently now. Fans will respect a promo like that. And if he talks about focusing on family first before the WWE Championship, you save that Cody match. Because I think there's a heel Cody babyface Roman match that's going to headline WrestleMania someday. Because it should. Cody ticks where he's at. Few notches the other way into the heel side. It wouldn't be that hard. You ride the hell out of this current Cody babyface run. You get absolutely everything out of it you can. You don't make that turn anytime too soon. But when you do, you got one hell of a heel on your hands. And I'd put Brandy right by his side. They are wrestling's royal family. And he can play that up in a very big way. And down the road, the baby face that WWE always wanted Roman Reigns to be versus the heel Cody Rhodes, oh boy. To have that in your back pocket and have no reason to get to it. My voice even cracked talking about it. Have no reason to get to that anytime soon, but know you have that. Oh my goodness. People would kill. Bookers would kill. Companies would beg to have that waiting for them with no reason to rush to it. That Cody Roman match, when the dynamics are flipped, it's going to be massive. It's going to be absolutely massive. I'll stay on Cody because something we talked about coming into today that we were going to make a big part of the show. My time working with Cody Rhodes. My time working with Cody Rhodes goes back before WWE. I went into my archives. I found it. I called Cody Rhodes versus Tommy Dreamer at House of Hardcore about 7 years ago. St. James, New York, in some sportsplex. It was a ring set up on like a, turf soccer field. Middle of nowhere, New York. Cody was doing his whole indie run. I was doing commentary for House of Hardcore alongside Daniel Morrison, a.k.a. Danny Doring, one half of the final ECW Tag Team Champions. I was very early on in my commentary career. I was not good, but I called Cody and Tommy Dreamer. And I would get to the shows early enough that I would talk to people and all that. And Cody was doing his run. So Cody came in, and this is when Cody was on the indies, and you would get the meet and greets in the full suit. And he came in, and I went into the makeshift locker room because that's what it was. It was a curtained off area on that very same field. It just happened to be the locker room. And I went, hey, Cody, nice to meet you. That was it. That's as far as the conversation went. I didn't have to ask him stuff. I knew what Cody Rhodes was doing. He was Bullet Club. He had the fighter, the Top Gun jacket going. And he had the American, he still had the black hair. That's what he was coming out with, that brown Top Gun jacket. He had the black hair, and he had his American Nightmare. And I was telling the story of Tommy and Cody Rhodes and, the connection to Dusty Rhodes. Very easy stuff to go with. Very easy stuff to bring up. And it was fun to call someone who was so influenced by Dusty Rhodes versus Dusty's son. And it was almost surreal being in that moment because you're like, we're in like this random sportsplex that they play like 7-year-old soccer on, and here's Cody Rhodes wrestling Tommy Dreamer. And, you know, they have the match and they do the double, you know, the elbows and all that stuff. And Cody wins the Crossroads. So I guess technically Cody was the heel. And Cody, at the end of the match, I knew this was coming. He grabs Tommy's hand and he raises it up. And he kicks him and pulls him in Crossroads. He attacked him after the match. And he got in the top rope and he did the... So me, being who I am, I went to the Tony Schiavone 1996 Bash the Beast call of Cody Rhodes, you can go straight to hell. And that's how I went off the air. And I was not loud enough or anything like that. And I tried to make it a big deal. It wasn't great, but I was trying to sell this big, like, oh, Cody Rhodes is a real piece of trash. And he gets on the top rope and he does the gun to Tommy. And I go, that'll be it for tonight. And we'll see you in Australia, which I wasn't even on those shows. And that was it for me and Cody in the Indies. But he was very nice. And anybody you hear about, you know, what Cody is doing right now goes back to those indie days. The fan base he has cultivated, the ability to start a company like AEW is because of what he did on the indies. This, looking in the eye, having a conversation, doing the meet and greets, selling t-shirts, being the elite, playing to every possible fan base he can. That started when he left WWE. He learned a lot of the indies. You know, he learned how to be an indie wrestler with the Young Bucks. Kevin Owens kind of was like, hey, maybe try to take care of this guy. And ended up Ring of Honor. And he did, you know, Double J's Global Force. And he wrestled in New Japan. And, you know, then the Bullet Club stuff. But when he came out with that weight belt last year, and it had all the names of the places he worked, it's because that time meant a lot to him. And I know his number. He was aware of what places could and couldn't pay him. But he was thinking bigger picture. How do I get the most out of these? He worked some places. They probably don't even exist anymore. But he worked as many places as he could in a lot of different places for a lot of different people. And he didn't take nights off. People knew. There is an element to being a top guy where you know that the meeting that you're going to have with someone, a fan, might be another day of work for you, but for them, they have saved up for that. They have made a journey to go see Cody Rhodes because they watched him as Stardust, or they watched his dad, or that's what that indie run was. And he gave you the experience. And that popularity grew. And then he joined a group that was, you know, the biggest thing outside of WWE in the Bullet Club. And that became a commercialized Bullet Club. That's the best way I put it. And you might not like that. You may not have liked that run. Hell, they took over Ring of Honor. Anybody who was doing anything else outside of the Bullet Club in Ring of Honor, it didn't mean a damn thing. Those title runs, I always felt bad for Dalton Castle winning the championship when he did. I was at that show. If it wasn't the Bucks or Cody or Hangman, it just... And they were drawing. How could you deny that? I don't think it was good for the health of the company. Hell, they just turned that right into AEW and they did All In. But Cody making all those appearances and being in there with the right people, being in there with the most popular people outside of WWE, all of that is what helped create AEW and helped cultivate his fan base and cultivate that fan base. Then he had his ups and downs in AEW. There's some stuff he did I would roll my eyes at. And he did too. And he'll tell you that. But Cody knows how to handle himself. And when I was at the WrestleMania, where I think, everybody expected him to show up in Dallas, and Seth doesn't have the opponent, and that weird-ass storyline of him going to Connecticut and going to Vince. But I remember knowing Cody was very likely coming out. It wasn't a done deal. Like, nobody was like, there's things we knew. Like, I knew Roman was coming back. There's one. I knew Roman was coming back at SummerSlam when he came back. I knew that. I think it got out a little bit, but that was known within the company because people had to prepare accordingly. Cody wasn't like a done deal. Like, it wasn't like, oh, he's coming back. Of course, people knew. But that was very much live in the moment. And I was out there for that. And Mike Rome does that great call. And the whole thing it's a top WrestleMania moment because of how special it was. And he took the music that he had made for him when he left WWE and he walked back in the door at WrestleMania with that music. Wrestling has more than one royal family. And he walked back in the door as a surprise opponent for one of the workhorses of the company. And I remember, because that was night one, watching the whole match and everything they did, and, it was fine. It was a solid match. I don't think anybody talks about the match. They talk about the comeback. And there's the American Nightmare. I remember looking around AT&T Stadium and seeing the name he created, the American Nightmare, the graphic he created outside of WWE, plastered all over one of the most famous stadiums in the world at WrestleMania. And that was very telling of where things were at. He created something of his own somewhere else and brought it back at WrestleMania. And they made a big deal. And they did the Cody Vader, as you remember, at WrestleMania. So the next night, he's not on the show, obviously. But he did show up. Now, as soon as I saw him come back, my hope was, this is always was my hope after big pay-per-views or premium live events, we're going to get whoever had the big night at the show on the bump that week live in studio. So I knew, I'm going, come on, Wednesday. It's Cody. Cody gets this. Cody knows he should show up at this thing or whatever it may be. He should make and he did, obviously. And I remember he came in with his daughter and Brandy, and they just went out, and someone took him down the side. If you're looking, if this is the ramp and you walk down the ramp, on the side was kind of a big area for production to walk out of backs, and he took the walk. And I followed him because I wanted to watch. And he walks out, and there's fans starting to file in. Very nonchalant, just coming out and taking a look, and they're pointing at stuff for him. And the fans lose their minds. There wasn't that many there, but they lose their minds. And I have video of it somewhere. I just capture that. And he gets it, and and at one point he does and they get up quick. And it was on social media that it got posted of there Cody Rhodes popped up at night to a meeting, and he's fired up, and I'm asking executives, and are we getting him? Are we getting him? Yeah, we got him. I was like, I'll talk to him, whatever you. And we get Cody. So we get Cody. He comes out that Raw, which is such a letdown. That was like the Elias debut and all that stuff. Oh, such a high of that WrestleMania. And that Raw stinks. But Cody comes out and cuts the promo about Dusty and, the match at MSG and all that. And if you remember, they mess up the Cody Vader. They got it at Mania. Whatever reason, it didn't work, and he stopped doing it, and they started doing the shh in the entranceway. But I kind of brought. Can we try the Cody Vader of sorts for Cody? Can we give him the royal treatment he deserves of coming on the bump for the first time? So I think, Don, we have this picture of what. So this is it. It's just this. This is our area down the hall from the bump, or the bump studio, where it used to be shot when it was a show. And basically, we had to have him. We put so much smoke around him. He just went down. He crouched, and he came out. And they shot it beautifully. It came out great. But I thought this was a very cool picture. I found this. This was doing a rehearsal of Cody doing a fake Cody Vader, which is basically him just crouching and standing up. But they put enough smoke around him, and they shot it so it looked like he came out of the Cody Vader. And he comes on the bump and he says AEW within the first couple of minutes, and he's very nice. I don't have anything bad to say about Cody. I never will say anything about Cody, but Cody knows exactly who he's talking to at all times. I think only his closest friends get the 100% genuine real Cody, and I have no problem with him being protective of himself and who he's talking to. Because you don't know who you're talking to and what you're saying. And some people are very loose lips, and they'll say anything. He'll joke in interviews. Oh, I probably shouldn't have said that. That's very little stuff. He also knows what he's doing there. But Cody's reserved. Cody is very nice to everybody. He's appreciative of the production crew and everything that what they do. And you know what? I wish everybody treated people the way he did. He knows what it takes to put on the show. He knows this is the second appearance here. This is after he won the Rumble. He knows everything that goes into making Cody Rhodes the guy on the marquee. The guy who's I'm looking for an action figure of Cody. I thought I had one here somewhere. But he knows everything. Oh, I have one here somewhere. I thought I did. Oh, I do down here. Right? Nope, I don't. Everything that makes Cody Rhodes WWE superstar is, he's got to get on cut a promo with a microphone. He's got to go wrestle. But it's how he's presented. It's the merch people that put his stuff out there. It's the people that line up all those weight belts, and he's signing all of it. He appreciates all those people. He came up in the business. I think it's a big part of it. He knows what it is to be a top guy. And I felt that around him. And he knew us. And I don't know how much he watched the show. And he gave Popola crap for wearing some t-shirt. I think he wore a Glacier shirt the one day. Is that even licensed? He got it. Cody knows everything that's going on. Cody's very tapped in. And he gave us a hell of an interview that day. And I was very happy we had him for the whole show, and he talked about the Bucks, and he talked about Kenny, and he talked about AEW. And, that was a time where Vince was still around, so you didn't know what was cool to say. Or what, it was Cody. He can get away with it. And I know he was getting coached of, don't say this, don't say that. And he would joke about it. And now that seems ridiculous to be like, you really put handcuffs on Cody Rhodes, not saying like pro wrestling or stuff like that. And he kind of, I think, helped change things. There's two people that I really feel like helped change how things were run. Cody Rhodes and Pat McAfee. McAfee not being that polished guy in a show that rehearsed and wrote 9 scripts for Raw and all these. Pat just show up, and Cole was ready. Cole knew how to handle Pat and do the stuff with Pat that he needed to do. Cole knew how to keep the show going. Pat just did whatever, and it was genuine, and that's why people like him. And I think that changed kind of the thought process of, it doesn't have to be this buttoned up. We could talk about stuff. We can acknowledge history. We could be looser. And I think when Cody showed up, it was, hey, he left. He went to every other big company. He got to the top of those big companies. He created a company, or helped create a company. Now he's back here, and he's making us money. maybe we kind of let him do what he wants. And to Cody's credit, and I say this all the time in wrestling, I've said it about people in WWE, I've said it about people in AEW, everybody needs an editor. Everybody. Every booker needs an editor. You need stuff to run. Hey, is this a good idea? What do you think of this? Intelligence is not about being the smartest person. It's about listening to others. You don't have to take what they say and change it up, but it's about getting perspective. Cody followed creative, what it was. This was not his playground. This was not his sandbox anymore. I think Cody had a lot of freedom to do whatever the hell he wanted in AEW, good or bad. And there was plenty of good and plenty of bad. I think coming into WWE at the time, and even still, I think he certainly can, I want to change this or that. But he goes with it. There's a trust there. I think he's got a lot of trust with Bruce. There's a reason Bruce was out there at the end of WrestleMania, and Bruce has been through all of it. Bruce knows his dad. There is a trust there. There's a trust with the fact that Nick Khan recruited him. That tells you plenty right there. Not everybody gets that kind of treatment. There was a trust with Vince. There's a trust with Hunter. And look, it's worked. So Cody knows the top guy stuff. So when he gets hurt, and I was, it's funny because he gets hurt. I'm at Hell in a Cell when he got hurt, and I had heard the story, and I didn't see him all day. I saw him for a second with his jacket up. So I wanted to go out there, and I wanted to be able to see a monitor, number one, but also be out in the crowd for the match with him and Seth. And I saw the reveal. I went, oh, my God. And a lot of people only, he showed a couple people here and there, I think. But when he showed the jacket, that reaction from a lot of people is the reaction of them seeing it for the first time, not just the fans. And he goes out and has the match that he has. And then gets taken out, and he's done. And it was a question of, is he going to be gone completely? Are they going to have him pop up on stuff, whatever? And they started those vignettes, and he announced for the Rumble and all that. So I remember I was doing a show. He's out at the time, I believe, if I'm correct. And let's see if I can find the DM as I'm thinking about it. I got a DM that was sent to me and Kayla from Cody Rhodes. Let's see if I can. There it is. This was, let's find. Let's see. July 2022. So he had just gotten hurt, right? I think that's right. And he messaged us July 2022, right? So 2023, he comes back. Yeah, okay. So we get a DM, me and Kayla, from Cody. July of 2022. Y'all got mugs? And I said, I believe they're supposed to be in the works as part of new merch to go with the new logo. I am now told we can get some mugs and send them your way. I just want to make sure. Cody sent this at nearly midnight on July 19th, 2022. September 2022. WTF is this jacket you're wearing? So I had this gold, I've worn it on this show, this gold Kith jacket. I believe like Seinfeld was the one who was like the model for this whole Kith wear. So it's this gold jacket. And Kayla jokes, he thinks he's a fashionista now. And Cody goes, peacock move. Meaning I'm trying to show things up. It's a shiny satin gold jacket. This, and maybe it's not helping that it's Seinfeld, but it looks like this. It's this. I've worn it on the show before. I've worn it on this show, worn it on WWE plenty of times. He said, you're online shopping from a site where Jerry Seinfeld is their model? Should be knocking Kith. And I was like, that's our demo. And I said, hope you're doing. And he sent, I hope you guys are watching. I appreciate you watching. He sent me a picture of one of his dogs and his daughter. But I thought it was hilarious that Cody Rhodes, while he's on the sidelines, is watching our show and giving me shit for the jacket I'm wearing. And admittedly, I think I wore it like one other time. And I almost wore it the next time he's on. So the next year, he's announced to the Rumble, and I'm at the Rumble. And I see him. He's like, we bumping? Let's bump. Let's bump. Let's bump. And I was just him, that's how I know you, so that's how I'm going to talk to you, which I laughed at. And I think everybody knew he was going to win the Rumble that night. We didn't know he was coming out at 30, but we knew he was going to win the Rumble. And he was cool. He was very happy to see us, see me. And Ricky Starks was there. And that's when Ricky Starks famously got caught on the surveillance video, which if I know the time code, I think I meet him right after he walks by that. And he was as nice as could be. And by the way, Cody had people at WrestleMania when he debuted. He had people at show. It happens all the time. Charlotte has been to AEW, folks. She did visit Andrade. Like, that stuff happens. It's not a big deal. No one's like, oh, the enemy's here. They have to sit over there. It happens. It happens all the time. It's not a thing. It's okay to just support your friends or significant other. So yeah, people have been there for Cody that worked for AEW. There's nothing wrong with it. There's that giant picture of him winning the championship. You can see all the people. It's wonderful. It should be like that. The fact that people were giving the Huber family crap for being there at the front row when Cody was wrestling Roman the first time is insane. He's very close with that family. I'm happy they were there for him. I'm sure he was happy to have them there. So Cody wins the Rumble the first time. And once again, I'm going, we getting him for a bump? I mean, he's got to come in. This is Cody. And Cody knew to make those appearances. And I get told, yeah, I think we have him. So we end up actually shooting something because they were doing the 2K reveals of the video game, the ratings. And he had just shot something. So me and Kayla go in there and we shoot something with him to bring him on the bump. And we got mugs, we promise. So he comes on. And Dom, you could put that picture up again of us. Kayla was in LA doing the show, and we made sure Cody, I don't know if there's another picture we have, but there, we put the mug in a bag and presented it to him. By the way, those mugs never went on sale. Those are made at Poshmark. There was no new merch. It never happened. The initial show, when it first started, there was a t-shirt and a hoodie, which I own. I don't know how many people bought those. But when they did the new logo, we're going to get new merch, it never happened. So I was like, hey, I don't want to drink out of plastic stuff or take the Poland Spring wrapper off. We get mug? So Cody has a mug, and I believe we send him home with a mug. One of two or three. And him being on that show, we shot a pre-tape of him pointing at things. So we had a WrestleMania Hollywood sign up in the corner outside of our studio. So he pointed to that. There's a GIF of this. If you type Cody Rhodes point to any GIF search engine, it's me and him pointing at stuff. And then we come up with the idea. He's like, I'm just going to point. I was like, just point at anything. So he's like, audio control room, white room. And he's just pointing at signs because it felt very Cody on Being the Elite. And he had a fog guy, and he called him, what do you call him? Fog Fred or something like that. It was one of our doc guys or somebody doing camera. He's just pointing at him. And Freddie Fogg, that was his name. Freddie Fogg came up with it on the fly. I think we did it in one shot. And he just was pointing at stuff. I'm like, you ready? Let's bump. Okay. And he came in as great. And I remember having a conversation. He brought something up about AEW, but it wasn't malicious. It wasn't mean. He was just talking about it. And I was kind of like, oh, and this was not on the air. This was before we get on the air. I was like, oh, he's willing to talk about it. But I think Cody picks his spots. I think Cody's aware of who he's around at all times. I think if you're in that inner circle of his friends that get to hang out at the Nightmare Bar, and he would talk to me about watching 94 WWF and watching, DiBiase, and him and I talked all about, we had something up, and, I'd love to have a conversation with that guy, with Cody Runnels. But I'm not there. And not a lot of people get that. And you know what? Like anybody that's at the top, you keep that circle, you keep it tight. But you watch Cody and how he acts in front of when the camera's not on and how he talks to production. I remember when his doc was coming out and him putting out their producer names of people I worked with. That didn't happen. Cody did not, didn't want that to be the case. He wanted those people to get the credit. Think about the fact that we don't see credits on WWE programming like almost ever. It's happened more. Cody wanted those people to get credit. The Ben Houses of the world. People on his team like that. Matt Brain, those got it. He would put their names in tweets. When Undertaker does his Hall of Fame speech and says the name Dan Pucciarelli, the fans are not going to know who that is. I know who that is. I know that that's the guy who made the last ride and Undertaker trusts. And to get to that level where your name gets mentioned by the Undertaker, Cody putting those names out there, that's what he got. And I think that's what he gets about being a top guy. And that's what he gets from growing up in the industry. Knowing what goes into the circus. Knowing what goes into production. Knowing what makes Cody, whether he's having the best night of his career or the worst, still look like $1 million at all times. That goes a long way. Showing up. Doing the media. Yeah, he's got the bus and he's got nice amenities. But that's a guy who knew what it took to get to the top, knows what it takes to be there and be at the top, to navigate the murky waters. That documentary is full of shit, okay? I don't think anybody's surprised to hear that. And I appreciate the team for putting that together. I also know everybody has to deal with The Rock. And now Rock has become a meme. Pivot and thing with the glasses. The story has been all over the place. Cody navigated those waters. Cody navigated the waters of Roman Rock overshadowing, potentially, but not overshadowing, potentially overshadowing a story that was more than a year in the making. That had a very obvious and clear ending. Couldn't get it done the first time. A lot of things to fight back through on the way. Fought back through them. Of course he's going to get Roman the second time and beat him. That was the correct story. The correct story was told. Sometimes the most obvious story is the correct story. People thought that was the case in Hollywood. It was not the case. Roman won. Cody needed some adversity. I like that. A lot of people didn't. I think it's worked out okay. But Cody navigated that Rock stuff. Rock showing up at day one, mentioning the head of the table. But us not being allowed to really talk about it, because that happened. Winning the Rumble, pointing at Roman. I don't know what's true about that or not, but that, for Roman to be in that skybox watching, you're telling me Cody went into his business for himself, or Hunter did, or just go point at him. He's there for a reason. Cody's not just pointing at the... He was there for a reason. And it was the correct reason. And we got the correct result. Cody handled that. It ain't easy to navigate those waters. But he was able to navigate those waters because of all the work he put in and how over he was. And still is. WWE's in great shape with Cody Rhodes as WWE champion, as the face of the company. And they're going to be in even better shape when Roman comes back as a babyface. And that is going to be another conversation. Let's do... I don't have a time to get to all this because I want to save some stuff for tomorrow, which I'm going to do. Let's talk about the John Cena retirement tour. So, Trish brings out Cena. Cena's got the shirt. You could tell he's done. What does it mean, though? And he tells the whole speech. And basically, other than ducking the Vince question, nice job by John Pollock for asking it, he just lays out the fact that next year is it. But he sounds like he's going to work past Mania. Now, that tells me he's getting a Saudi date in there and all that stuff, and sure. But he should get a full send-off. I thought it was corny, but I appreciated that, like a Derek Jeter or a great sports great got the recognition from others. They're giving gifts to Jeter. Like, the Cena send-off can include a lot of different people, and I appreciate how many people are shooting their shot. RVD saying, let's go back to Hammerstein. Matt Cardona saying, hey, we got unfinished business. Why can't we do that one? Him and Punk at Money in the Bank, when I saw that, I was like, oh, I remember. I was there 13 years ago in Chicago. I'd love to see another Punk Cena story. What's that look like? The run to hold on to the record with him and Flair, holding off Randy Orton, perhaps. I don't know if this is a popular opinion or not, but the Orton-Cena stuff is not great. Like, they didn't have that many good matches. Unfortunately. I never thought they got the most out of those feuds. For whatever reason. I'm not quite sure why. Nothing was really, like, the fact that they never had a Mania match is wild. They never had a one-on-one WrestleMania match. You do that now, though? Ooh. Like, I hope we get Cena and Orton at Mania next year. But they never, for whatever reason, they just caught each other at the wrong times. Creative. I don't know if the chemistry was off at times. I don't know if it was that version or... It never... I don't... Punk was talking about, if people say, how do you talk about my career without talking about John Cena? And I feel like John Cena, you have to think about that. Like, Punk Cena is a far better rivalry than than Cena Orton. I think of the best Cena rivalries. I think Edge is in there. I think Punk's in there. Orton, them had a bunch of matches, but I don't consider it great. And you think, like, I don't think there's a lot of people in that conversation, admittedly. Like, if Cena and Reigns were at a different time, what could that have been? Cena Miz was pretty good. And that happened 2 different times. But I just think about stuff that you can really sink your teeth into, and I don't think Cena has a lot of those rivalries. I think Cena and AJ is better, everything they did, than Cena and Orton. But I think Cena and Orton right now, or in the next year, that could be some special stuff. Is there something with Cody? Is there something to these talent, exchanges? Are we gonna get Cena and Tanahashi? That's not going to happen because it's New Japan. But some of these that you never thought possible should happen. Is there something fun to do with him and Truth? And once again, and this is not a knock on Truth, you only have a certain amount of time. Is this about people just getting to see John Cena on a retirement tour? Or is it also about inserting him into stories? Because that retirement stuff can overshadow a lot. Ric Flair did that thing where it was like, well, if he loses, he's done. He got past a few guys, and then he loses to Shawn. And, Shawn went into that match with Taker. He had to put his career up. What do you do with Cena? Is it just about him having matches? Is that good enough? Is it for all of us who got to see him or never got to see him, wanting to buy that ticket to go, you know what? I got to see him one more time. Like, I got to go see Michael Jordan for the first time towards the end of his run with the Bulls. And all I cared about was watching him warm up at the Continental Airlines Arena against the Nets. I just loved watching his process of warming up. And I was young at the time. I was 13, but I got to see him. I think there's going to be that feeling. I think there was that feeling when Sting retired for a lot of us. Whether it be people that grew up on him or then bringing their kids to see him, people that just, grew up and knew Crow Sting, people that knew Surfer Sting, that Sting run was so beautifully done by AEW and Tony Khan and everybody. They did such a great job with that. Like, to me, that's the standard. That's what WWE has to live up to with John Cena. Can you send them off the right way? Can you send them off? It's not past this time. That's the thing. And what Sting did in altering his career and evolving and what he did in AEW was very different, and he made it work. Cena can still do all this stuff. His style does not preclude him from anything. So he'll be able to do everything. But what is it? And I'll ask you guys, what do you want to see in the Cena retirement tour? Because we're certainly going to talk about it a lot. Hell, I'll tell you what, as we talk about these, our memberships, we're going to have some extra bonus content we're going to throw into those memberships on the certain tiers, which you can get right now here at thewrestlingmatchshow.com. I will probably have a whole episode just on what Cena can do in this retirement tour. So, with all that being said, it's a lot more to talk about. I don't have enough time to get everything today, and because of that, we're going to take this into tomorrow. I still got to talk about everything that went down with AEW over the last week, I should say. It's the last month, too. How things are shaping up for Wembley. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. We're going to talk about that Mariah May heel turn. I want to talk about Joe Tessitore to WWE, MJF's heel turn, where we're at with Britt and Mercedes. All of that we're going to get to tomorrow. The performance of Jeff Jarrett. And by the way, you get those super chats in through Friday, and you will get entered into the giveaway for the signed Double J Bendy. So super chats through Friday. Check out the memberships at thewrestlingmatchshow.com, starting at $2.99. Raw tonight, that Gunther Priest build. We'll see how that goes. Obviously, what's going on next with Drew and Punk and Pierce and all that. Sammy and Ilya Dragunov should be a hell of an IC title match tonight. Rhea Ripley's back. Bo Dallas is in Pierce's office. We're going to have another long one tomorrow. I'll tell you that. A lot to get to. Thanks for sticking with me. Sorry I missed you for last week. I'm back. I'm healthy. I'm feeling good. And we got way more to talk about. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll be talking about wrestling even more right here at thewrestlingmatchshow.com. See you tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, everybody.